Hey guys, it's Olivie Blake, and this is me not writing. So, I'm gonna have to do this really quickly. I know I haven't been here for the last couple of weeks, and that is because I'm trying to finish the manuscript for the Atlas Paradox / the Atlas series book 2. I posted about it on Twitter, and I thought it was very funny that a bunch of people were like, slow down! Like, no, I can't slow down. And this is because traditional publishing has so lead times for traditional publishing are usually that you submit a fully revised manuscript with at least 6 months to go before the actual book comes out. But because things are really backed up in the supply chain, which you've probably heard not just in the book industry, but in a bunch of different industries, / if you're waiting for anything. A lot of things have been delayed, but this is something that cannot be delayed. I don't want it to be delayed, which is why it's needs to get done now. So thank you for those of you who are thinking of my mental health, but actually my mental health has to take a way back seat. My mental health will be fine once this manuscript is over. I'm currently at about 90,000 words. Someone once asked me how many words the Atlas 6 was. The self-published version was about 120, but I had to limit it because with paperbacks, I always wanted to make them as inexpensive as possible. I wanted my paperbacks to be under $10, so I couldn't make it too long. You don't need to know any of this. So the point is, we're getting close. I'm hoping to finish it by the end of the week. Yeah. On the note of the publishing supply chain, it's especially hard with publishing because basically all the books in the United States get printed in the same 2 places. So if you are wanting to give books as a holiday gift, which are fantastic books and I recommend, or you want to receive books in a timely manner, you want to pre-order them so that the right amount of books are ordered, because otherwise they will take a while to come in. I think a lot of people have probably noticed that there's sort of a backlog with things being out of stock and stuff. So yeah. So I wrote in my notes, thank you, but no thank you to people telling me to slow down. My goal is to finish the first draft at the end of this week so that I can do my edits independently and then send the second draft. If you're familiar with my revision process, it's write the first draft, pretty much just word vomit everything out. In the second draft, fill in the plot holes. Third draft is line edits, edit for style, cut unnecessary things, anything that's confusing. And then the fourth draft is let's refine this. Now, because I don't have a lot of time and this manuscript has to be transmitted essentially in February, we're not talking first draft, we're talking finalized draft. Has to be done early next year. So my independent process means that I have to be done, ideally, with revised draft before the holidays so that I can actually enjoy the holidays, but my editor can't because I will send her a revised version and she'll have to read my book. And then I can have January to do substantive edits, which usually take me quite a while. I try to essentially reconstruct things, fully looking at the structure of something, really problem solving. That can take me up to 3 weeks. Because usually I take a week to just think about things and then to sort of weave the new stuff in, fix stuff, and then reread the whole thing as a whole to make sure everything blends together. So that process takes me a long time, and I'm going to need probably the whole month of January to do it, which is why I need to finish this first draft now. And my baby's, of course, not sleeping. We used to make it through a whole episode of Bake Off, and now we can't. So yeah, that's how much time I have to work. I had to drag my mom back down here so that she can live in my house and cook all my meals and take care of my baby so that I can finish this book. Okay, I think I had other questions in my inbox, but the only one I want to talk about right now is that someone basically asked me, Olivie, how do I write my novel faster? Because I had mentioned I was writing this at an unhinged pace. So it depends what your reasoning is for not writing quickly. If the problem is distractions, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Put a ton of pressure on yourself so that you feel like you're going to cave under the weight of it. Generally, I would say that you need to remember that a first draft is not the book. The first draft is just the first draft. You can always improve for moving on, especially if you have plans to traditionally publish. then you have to go through lots of rounds of revision anyway, so you might as well learn to love revision. And you really should. Every writer should love revision because it is an opportunity to take the mess that you've created and turn it into something that is potentially coherent. So like I said, I've got a 4-draft revision process. It's super, super critical for me to take the pressure off finishing the first draft. So essentially, as I'm writing right now, every time I come to something where I'm like, ooh, I need to research this, I just write, like, I put it in bold, I write a comment to myself. I keep a running list of like things to come back to in my substantive edits. So it's like, ooh, you didn't really back up this particular plot point, so go back and do it. But I don't actually go back and do it because that would waste time. That would involve me having to go back and seeing things that aren't that good and having to, compulsively needing to fix them then, which is not helpful. So I just tell myself stuff I have to come back to, stuff I have to clarify, and then all of that is going to be the second draft. And kind of taking that pressure off of the first draft really helps to move things forward. If you're feeling blocked, everything's moving so fast that I had writer's block for like 30 minutes, I've said many times I don't really believe in writer's block, but you get blockages. And I was a little bit blocked for like, an hour, which in my really compressed timeline is like several days to someone who's being normal. And then I would usually say that the problem is usually a few steps back. Normally it would be something where I would just push through until I felt like I couldn't. Changing the scenery, doing something different, thinking about a different aspect of the plot. I mean, just doing something you can to sort of shift your viewpoint is really the best way to do it. So if you're not me and you have a lot of time, I would write something different. Doesn't matter what. If you want to, write a little poem about the sunrise, like give your brain permission to think about something else, and it will usually sort of arrive at what isn't working in your current plot. If you're just moving slowly, unless you have to rush like I'm rushing because you have deadlines and have signed a contract saying things are going to get done when they're going to get done, writing faster, I wouldn't focus on writing faster. I would just focus on take away the things that are taking you a long time. So doubt can be something that drags you down a little bit. And, it's natural to feel like everything you're writing is crap. Like I currently feel like everything I've just written is like total shit. I'm just making it up as I go. But I distinctly remember that was true of every draft I've ever written of anything. I've said many times that the Tristan and Parisa scene in the Atlas 6, I wrote all in one go. But what I have not mentioned is that after I wrote it, I sat back and was like, that might be terrible. Like I wrote that whole thing, made a lot of decisions about the plot, like in like spur of the moment. Like essentially in an hour, I made a lot of decisions about what kinds of characters my characters were and didn't really like consult my actual active brain. I just wrote it down and went with it. And so in that moment, you can feel like this thing I've just done is insane and you can feel really insecure about it, and that might hold you back. But that's what revision is for, to, come back to a passage or to a scene or whatever that didn't feel right in the moment, and either you can fix it then, or you realize, oh, this is how it fits into the larger plot, or, oh, I can make it fit by doing XYZ. So yeah, do as much as you can to take the pressure off yourself. My version of taking the pressure off myself is giving myself these artificial deadlines. That's like, I need to have my first draft by this point so that I have 2 months to really work with this book and shape it into the kind of story that I want it to be. So yeah. Anyway, I gotta go because my baby's crying and needs to take a nap. Yeah, I will see you next week. I'm pretty sure it might be really short like this. I am really not paying any attention to my social media right now. I just can't afford to. I'll break. I don't even have my dagger. This is a disaster. This is just another pair of pajamas, by the way. And this is my scrunchie, which I've just been waving around. All right. This has been me, Olivie Blake, not writing. And I'll see you next week, assuming I have made it to next week. I'll see you next week.